hierarchy when it comes to family. My husband first. I think let me just touch on marriage. Being confronted with a long distance marriage that you didn't prepare for, emotionally, psychologically, and otherwise. I mean, you just like, I'm in Tokyo and I'll be back home, honey. Like, so let me take it to the last day I was with my husband, which was September, end of September. And both of us were leaving. Like the jet set of life is just really just me and Don. It's just what we do. So Don was going to Cape Town on the day I was returning to Tokyo. Mind you, 2019 had already been just a very illustrious year in terms of a lot of surprises for us. We had a lot of health battles from a family, from a father-in-law, and then my husband having to go through surgery, brain surgery with him. And so just his recovery, we were just like, okay, hope, new hope, let's fight forward. And so I flew right back to Tokyo around, early, I think it was July, August, and TCUD pre-launched the university. I was with my crew, and so it was just really an exciting time. He was in the United States at the time, so then we returned home, and I was like, you know what, let me go home. And so I think that September, then we were able to just kind of debrief on the 2019 as a year, and just appreciating life and being grateful that, God has come through in such a big way, even though we had gone through such difficulties and tests. And so I remember when he was flying to Cape Town, and I was flying to Tokyo, and we were at the airport together. So he flew out first, and then I remained, but then my flight was cancelled, so I had to go back home and just sleep one more night at home. And then I called him. I was like, hey, I'm still in Botswana. And he was in Cape Town. He was like, you know what, I'm returning. He was returning to Botswana the following day, so we met in Joburg at the airport. And we had our date there. I was waiting for my flight to head to Tokyo. I'm Doha, then Tokyo. He was heading to Gaborone. So at that time, even as we were sitting at the airport, I remember we met this conservation lady. We're just taking pictures, and we're just like excited at the lounge, and just like, oh my God, we're just having an international date, baby. Like, this is so good. Like, I'll be singing on Christmas Day, because I was to go to Shanghai, as I told you. Little did we know at that time that date, was like the last day you're going to see each other in a while. And so I think that aspect of family, just processing that part, was just like, well, it took a series of just kind of accepting and understanding that certain things were not in our control, and there were certain responsibilities and obligations that needed to be fulfilled for certain things business-wise, and even for me for academic-wise. And so we had to make a decision as a family that kind of fits into the greater good of the family vision, in support of each other, of course. I mean, even when the borders opened, I had the option in November to travel, but I would have been stuck in January still in Botswana, and that would have affected other things as well. And so just that part was something that I had to process with my husband at that very interpersonal level, and learning how to communicate and unpack and reflect together, and really try to heal even in certain things, because my marriage is young. So there was just those aspects as well to say, you know what, let's take a breather. This is also very good. We're able to kind of just turn that into what is the good we can actually get from this, praying with each other, praying for one another. So there was that element as well, calling my mother-in-law, calling my mother, calling my grandmother, my sister, and even just in certain broken relationships, trying to really connect. I think 2020, what it did was, it makes you see the petty stuff as just that outright. This is not too big a deal for me to not call my sister. this is not too big a deal for me to not say I'm sorry. This is, so there was that sense as well in just being able to unpack maybe even aspects of dysfunction in the overall family structures and say some things are not worth fighting over, crying over, disagreeing over and whatnot. And so just learning how the new environment forces you to extend kindness, to extend empathy, to extend compassion, provision in however ways that you're capable. And so I think if I was to sum up family, I would put it within that context of being able to say, perhaps the cracks aren't so much what I needed to focus on. It's the little things. It's your smile. It's that one's joke. It's that one's dream. It's that one's personality. You start to really recognize all of you, my family, in your differentiated ways, even with our differences, even with our quirks. You color my world beautiful. That for me was, because I remember being in certain meetings, being able to know I am with the village. I am because of the village. It's about even families that were not necessarily related by blood, but those that became family in the process of your evolution. To them too, I'm like, my God, I belong to the village. And the village owns me. And so that was a very renewed sense of value in myself. And I don't know, I just hope that in some sense I get to be appreciated, or at least accepted as equally colorful to their world in however way I come. Crazy and sane.
That is beautifully put. So I want us to talk about